Hello everyone, welcome to the DocLink demo. What we are going to go through in this demonstration is how to search and retrieve the documents, also how you can look at the audit trails and what has happened as far as the history of the document goes, and at the very end we'll be looking at the version control and how you can maintain different versions of documents within DocLink. To begin with, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and launch the DocLink Smart Client. This application can be installed on user's workstation, or it can be installed on a terminal server, a Citrix machine, where users can go ahead and log in and get access to the documents. What we have currently open is the Advanced Inquiry section. So on the top left, you can see we have multiple tabs. Quick Inquiry and Advanced Inquiry are two ways how you can retrieve documents from the system. Starting with the Advanced Inquiry. Quickly off the land, what we have on the top is the companies that are part of the repository. In the bottom section right here, we have different document types in the system. You can decide and configure as to what different document types users will have access to. And on the right-hand side, what we have are the properties which are associated to that document type that you select on the left. So depending on the document that I select on the left, I can select the property on the right and search for that specific document with the defined property. For instance, if I'm looking for a sales order, I can select the document type sales order on the left. And on the right-hand side, I can define the sales order number or a customer name that I'm looking for. Or I can also do something what we call as a combination search. If I do a search without any of the condition, what system will return back is all the documents that exist in the system for that specific document type. So for example, if I do not populate any of the search conditions here and hit on that search button on the top left corner, I will see all the sales orders that are currently in the system. So here's the list of sales orders. I can see in the table format what properties they are populated with, what's the customer name, what's the sales order number. And again, this layout can be changed or customized to every individual user's need. So now going back to the search result with the specified condition, what I can do is I can go ahead and go back to my search screen and type in a specific condition that I'm looking for. So in this instance, what I'm looking for a specific sales order number, which is going to be 109002. I can go ahead and hit that search button again to find the search result. And this time, if you'll notice, the document results came back with that just one specific sales order. If I were to open up that sales order, I can just double click on that line and get the image of that sales order. Quickly off the land, on the left-hand side, what we have is the information and notes section. Right in the middle, we have the actual image of the document. You can scroll up and down to look at the complete document. If the document has multiple pages, you can scroll between the pages either through the thumbnails or you can flip between the pages. On the right-hand side, what we have is the document information section. In the general information section, as you can see, we have got certain properties which are automatically indexed for that document. We can also bring back line item detail if that's a requirement. We can go into the database of the corresponding ERP system and bring back the information based on the sales order number. Right here you can see it actually gives you details as to how this document was captured in the system, which user created this document, and at what date and time it was created. If I were to look at any kind of audit history as to who has done what with this specific document, I can actually go into the audit history section and look at the details as to what has happened to this document. As you can see, we can expand some of these audit logs and we can see it looks like the system actually sent out an email to the customer with that attachment. So that's part of the functionality and that's part of the configuration. So you can tell, yes, that part worked as expected. You can also see who actually viewed the document. So it looks like administrator viewed the document at 3:55 p.m. When I opened up this document recently, you can see how this document view is updated with the new date and time. Also, you can tell which user actually emailed this document. So as you can see here, administrator actually emailed this document at a specified date and time. If a user updated the property value, for example, in this instance, looks like administrator actually updated the property value for salesperson from John Roberts to Josh Moe. So a complete audit trail or audit history is maintained for all the documents in the system that tells you what has happened to that document as part of the process. Okay. Moving on from that, going back to the search results, so we can go ahead and close out of the search result here. Now, what you can also do is more of a combination search or a specific search. So if I'm going to do a search based on, let's say, just the customer name, I can get rid of the sales order number and enter in the customer name here. So for the customer name, I don't really have a specified customer name. I don't exactly remember what the customer name was. So I can actually just type in first few characters that I remember that customer name starts with. So in my case, I know that my customer name is actually Design Studio, but I'm not 100% sure if the Design Studio is a one word or if it's two words, the way it has been captured in the system. So I can just type in design and I can go ahead and hit that search button on the top left corner again. And that will find me any document, any sales orders that exist in the system where customer name starts with design. So as you can see, we've got two sales orders here. For both, the customer name is Design Studio. So you can tell that, yes, the document customer name is not exactly design, but it begins with design. So it gives you flexibility of searching documents if you do not exactly know the customer name, or if you are dealing with certain scenarios where the customer name can or cannot be, a specific word. All right. Now, moving on to the next part of the demonstration, where we'll be talking about the version control process within DocLink. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use a document type called contract. So we have one contract that's saved into the system. I can go ahead and select that contract and hit that search button, and here we go. So right here is the copy of the contract. It is a Word document. If I try to open up this document, you'll notice that it actually opens up in the Word, Microsoft Word. So documents which are not PDFs or not TIFF images, they open up in their own native application. So any Office document will open up in Microsoft Office application. Okay? So now when I'm looking at this specific, contract, and I realize that, what, I need to actually update this contract, the estimate of the, expenses has been changed from 15% to 10%. So I need to update that information. If you need to update any kind of information on an existing document in the DocLink that is controlled with the revisions or that is controlled with different versions, what you can do is you can right-click on that document and you can check out that document. When I go to check out, the system will ask me, would you like to save a copy of that document to your local location? I can go ahead and say yes. And at that point, the system will prompt me of a location where I would like to save this document. For ease of use, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and select the desktop, and I'll just save my contract on the desktop. And as soon as I check out this document, notice how there is a lock sign on that document. So basically what that signifies is that no other user will be able to make any modification or will be able to check out this document. At this point, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and open up the checked out Word document and make any modifications that I have to make. So here's my contract that I just checked out. I can go ahead and open it up, and I can now make the changes that I need to make for that specific document. For this case, as I mentioned, I need to update that 10% expense, 15% expense to 10%. I can go ahead and update that, save my changes, and then go ahead and close out of it. Now my changes has been saved for the contract with the desired percentage amount for the expenses that I need. I can now go back into the repository and check back in the new version of that document. In order to update the new version, you can just go ahead and right-click, go under Versions, and select Check-in. Once you select Check-in, a new pop-up window will appear where you can point to the updated version of the document. So you can click on the three dots to browse to the document that you're trying to upload. So here is my updated version of that contract. I can go ahead and say Open. And I can make a quick comment as to what changes did I make. I can say updated expense to 10% limit. So that way when a user looks at it, they can actually look at the comments and be able to realize that what changes has been made with this contract. At this point, I can go ahead and click on OK. And notice how that log sign disappears from that contract document type, signifying that this document has been updated with the new copy. If I were to open up this document, I can just right-click and open, or just double-click on that contract. And as you'll notice, it automatically opens up the most current version. So as you can see, it basically shows me the update that I have made, which is 10% of the expense reimbursement. So I can at this point go ahead and close out of it. If I were to look into the different versions of this document, I can right-click on it, go under Versions, and select that version button. And as soon as I do that, I can see there has been a total of 3 different versions. And the last version that was made, I can see the annotation that was made by the user where it says updated the expenses to 10% limit. So that's how simple it can be to see different versions and make a new version of an existing document in the system. With that, I will go ahead and conclude my demo. Thank you.